Wake up, buy here, pay here people. It's a beautiful day. Go grab yourself another cup of joe and say hello to Jim and Michelle Rhodes on the Buy Here, Pay Here morning show. Take it away, you two.
Good morning. So glad that you guys could be here. Happy Friday. It's Friday.
It's Friday already?
It is. We're about ready to hop into a weekend. And for us, that's typically like a lot of planning and brainstorming and all that kind of stuff. But Friday, it's the end of the week.
It's also coming up on, this is Memorial Day weekend. And
oh, yeah.
Just a reminder. Yeah. Memorial is the weekend that we honor those who died in service. So sometimes that gets confused with Veterans Day, but yeah, this is to observe those who died in service. So many of us, it'll be a recreational weekend. Let's just remember on Monday to observe that part.
Yeah. And maybe recreational, but most of you dealers out there will be open both Saturday and Monday on the holidays. So just happy Memorial Day weekend.
Absolutely.
A couple things. First off, we wanted to do a quick shout out to the Buy Here Pay Here boardroom, and they reached their 800 members. So shout out to Amanda and Hugo and all the people there. That's a really beautiful milestone.
I saw that Chad Martin with his LHPH and BHPH resource group also crossed 600. So shout out to Chad and his group.
Yeah.
And we're happy to have dealers obviously join over there. We're broadcasting live in the BHPH Success Group, also on YouTube and now LinkedIn, so you can find us over there. But we've kind of settled into audio-only show. We want your feedback. If you're on the broadcast this morning, please throw your hello tell us your state again. That's always a fun way to do it. And don't forget, in StreamYard, you can indicate, we don't always see your name on our side when you post a comment. So if you haven't authorized StreamYard to show your name, then we don't always know.
We had a conversation with Bill on Monday about that. And I see that we've got Bill's name. Happy Friday, Buy Here, Pay Here morning show. Happy Friday to you too, Bill.
Hi, Bill. And, I think we made a little bit of an introduction. For those of you who don't know Bill, we really enjoyed spending some time with him. He's a prince of a guy, and really, when you talk about integrity and authenticity and somebody who really cares about dealers, in the way that we do, that's definitely Bill. And so he's filling an important role at NIADA with both Buy Here, Pay Here groups and some franchise groups, I seem to recall. But yeah, if you don't know Bill, take the opportunity to get to know him. And if you don't know where to find him, just go to your local swimming pool about 6 a.m. and you might have a chance to find him there.
He's an avid swimmer. I remember it was at NABD last year,
right?
That we were walking, doing coffee, and saw someone swimming, and then had a conversation with him later. Like, yeah, that's me.
Somebody we know.
Somebody that we know. And so we have another Facebook user. Good morning, Martin, here from Texas.
Right.
So good morning, Martin. We're glad that you could join us on this Friday.
Yeah. So a couple things to talk about today. Just the things that have popped up since our last session on Wednesday. We followed up into the Facebook poll. I threw a graph out there last night on the results from the poll from Monday morning, which was on the subject of how many hours do those of you as dealers spend working in your business. So, for clarification, I would say, if you're working at home and business planning and doing your modeling, then I'd call that working on your business. But if you're actually working in your business, filling a management role, whether that's in underwriting or buying cars or managing your team, if you're in the business, and a high percentage of them indicated that
really high percentage of them. You did that pie graph, and it was
I think 63 of the 77 respondents indicated 40 plus hours. And so it's really just a question for me, obviously, as somebody who does what Michelle and I do, and we're in operations, and when we kind of look at what that means operationally, potentially, obviously everybody's circumstances are different. We're in a weird time with COVID. It's, we've come off of a tough time, and finding people is difficult. So, it may not be the best time to make that assessment, but, part of what Michelle and I do is we always try to help people work to a place where they're able to be. If you love it and you want to be there 40 plus hours, then that's that. But if you would like to be able to transition to a place where you spent less time in your dealership, then we obviously always trying to help dealers create that situation.
Yeah, well, then that's kind of like adds to the question is I think that maybe a follow-up poll on that of those of you who are working 40 plus hours a week. Do you wish you could work less? And if so, how much time? Because it's just interesting to see, just kind of see what's happening with a lot of the dealers out there, that they're spending a lot of their time. And it's when we go to conferences, dealers, they like the idea of like, I want to be able to have a vacation.
Sure.
I want
So
to be
maybe
able to
that's
do
a
the
question
things.
is,
Yeah.
if you're a dealer, let's just ask you the question. Could you take a 2-week vacation? If so, what would be the impact to your business? Just ask yourself that. What would prevent you from taking a 2-week vacation? And then maybe also, as you contemplate that, what's the impact? If the answer is no, you can't take a 2-week vacation. What does that mean to your family relationships and personal relationships? So if you're giving that much time to your business, so just something to contemplate. We're not trying to have an answer for that one this morning, but it's more about things to think about and how to manage the business in a way that we can start to work on it and less time working in it.
Yeah. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to completely to step out,
No.
but like, instead of 40 hours, let's try to get down to 30 so we can spend 10 hours a week on things about working on
high level
stuff. So
see the business,
especially if you're a dealer and you're wanting to grow, it's kind of hard to grow when you're in the weeds.
Sure.
And you're doing all of the, except unless it's just like foundational growth. It's like
Right.
building a strong portfolio, but not scaling that portfolio or whatever it is that you're trying to do. We had talked about, so, do you have anything else you want to add to that?
No, not that particular subject.
Yeah. We had talked about was it yesterday? That we were like, we should do a survey on this. And, Jim and I, we love just kind of throwing a survey out there to see, where people are at, where they're at in their business, where they are at in their thinking and all of that. And so we discussed last night, we should throw a survey in. And so do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I meant to actually throw it out there this morning. We just didn't get an opportunity. So I'll put it out there later today, but it's really just the question of, and so I got to figure out exactly how to phrase it, but I'd probably just something along this line. If, since there's no real good data that I've seen, I don't know that anybody has any data to say for sure one way or the other on this, but based on your feel and your perception and your experience, who would you say can service a buy here, pay here contract more effectively? And maybe the definition of effectively would be fewer repos.
Fewer repos and fewer headaches.
Yeah, but really, it's just if we wanted to find success, like what would any of us call success on a buy here, pay here contract?
Mm-hmm.
For me, that would mean customer makes it close enough to the end that I can trade them into another one, keep them in the portfolio, have them referring friends and family. That's success. Okay. So now, so the question really becomes, who can service the buy here, pay here contract more effectively in terms of ultimate success? And is that going to be the dealer who is in that community and has a relationship with the customer, or is it going to be a third party lender and servicing company whose only focus is collections every day? Because as dealers, we obviously have a lot of other distractions, and depending on how our team is constructed, that's one of the arguments. If you're a third party, you say, and others will argue that dealers shouldn't be really engaged in the customer in anything that's adversarial or negative. And so I certainly get that side of it as well. And not everybody out there is good. Certainly we see the gamut in terms of how well dealers service their own portfolios.
Yeah.
So it can vary, but that's really the question. If I just ask the question, which do you believe, based on your experience, that can actually service the customer better? And on a side note, we met with a lender last night, and just kind of informally, but they were good enough to bring the information. We've been talking a lot lately about transparency and trying to go to bat on behalf of dealers and ask the questions about transparency. And we got some excellent transparency last night. I won't mention the company name at this point. I would just say, we have a little bit more to learn about them. But I would say that if you're a dealer in the Southeast and you're new and you're having trouble finding access to funds, and Southeast would basically be from Tennessee across to I think they
They do
mentioned Alabama.
Texas and
They do
yeah,
also Texas, but mostly it's Tennessee, Alabama, South Carolina,
Georgia.
and yeah, Georgia and Florida basically.
Yeah,
But if you're in that region and you're new and you're having trouble finding enough capital to fund your business, then I would say reach out to us and we'll put you in touch with them. They're not going to pay us anything, but what we want to have have a chance to make those introductions so they can see that we're out there speaking up on behalf of dealers or of lenders who operate transparently.
Yeah, and there's a couple of things I wanted to give a little bit of feedback or just some comments on that. Because our one of our specialty is specialties are launch packages. So these are people that are brand new to the space or are shifting from a retail into buy here, pay here. And so, we're helping coach them through that. And so that's, when we talk about new, that's the kind of new that we're talking about, is that someone that's just barely stepping into the space. And it's interesting as we've talked to different lenders, when we say new, they all have different definitions of what new is. And so we have to, as consultants, and since we're, trying to get our finger on the pulse of what offerings there are out there for new people, that we have to kind of backtrack, and it's like, let's make sure we're on the same page with the definition of new.
Sure.
And so what does that mean? And so a lot of them, it's like new can be, they need to be in business for at least a year and have 200 contract, there's like a gamut of different things. So new, that's
for
just
us, definition of new is we opened today.
We opened today. Yeah. Yeah. And so it's like, there's not a lot of lenders out there that are willing to work in that space. But, when we kind of add we are going to teach them, that softens it up a little bit. And then the other thing is that I, just as an observer, when we met with this person last night, that, Jim is about transparency, and that we were looking through some of the documentation, and it is really honestly one of the first times I've ever seen Jim look up from something and like, this is transparent.
Right.
And it was beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really, really nice to go, okay, this is transparent. This is what you're looking for. At least when you're looking for that level of transparency, it's like, this is transparent. I can look at this and I understand all the ins and outs and the what fors and all of that to that. But
and so, quickly I was able to see all the pricing. They have it, a scale or a table on their rates and fees, and so it's all right there. And so I found it refreshing to have somebody, and they also allow the dealer to service, so that's something you don't always see. So this is something that we're out there scouting on behalf of our dealer clients, and trying to find smart capital and present our clients obviously with multiple solutions. And we want to do the same thing here. We want to make sure that we can, help all dealers tap into the money that's right for them and other vendors. Right.
Yeah. Jeremy joined us. We were going to try to get him on today, but he wasn't able to do that.
Good morning,
today.
Jeremy.
Good morning, Jeremy.
It's early in Arizona.
Yeah. Cause look, you're up. Wait. Okay. That maybe we can get him on next week to discuss.
Sure. No, we'll talk about that thing again. He was basically asking about what's the outlook, all this economic outlook, and are we facing a downturn? What does it mean to us in buy here, pay here? So we will tackle that separately, and
love to have you on, Jeremy.
Bring some others who can better answer that for you, Jeremy, because we really, we're not prognosticators in that way. And I can tell you, I personally was a dealer through the 2008 downturn, and all that meant to me was access to capital. So, you saw capital markets kind of dry up. And so it really affected, me as a dealer and many thousands of other dealers back then.
Yes. I wanted to say shout out to one of our listeners in Houston, Texas. And then Jeremy says, ha ha ha, toothpicks and eyelids. It must be early for you. But look, you can do it.
Yeah.
You can do it, man.
Glad you're here. So I'm going to hijack whatever you thought you had for an agenda today, because I want to talk about something in particular, and that's really to just talk about you. Okay.
Hey.
Yeah. And the role that you kind of play with what we do, because Michelle and I have been working through a course. We created a course, and we're barely a couple of sessions in on a marketing and branding course. Some of you, we hope, were in our session at BHPH United, which is really the first time that we have taken that Michelle and I have presented together specifically on the subject of, marketing and, attracting customers.
Yeah.
And I think that it's important to know that one of the things that Michelle brings, I had exposure to these kind of things back in my, certainly I've been in retail before I was ever in the car business, and then, a dealer myself. And I've always been fascinated by the messaging part of marketing. How do we create the right message to be able to connect with the right consumer? And so that's something I've paid attention to. And through my entrepreneurship circles, back in Utah, I met a lot of really smart marketing people, very successful entrepreneurs. And then Michelle, when she came into my life and ultimately into our business, she brings a lot of experience with, you can tell the story about how you got introduced to story branding. And then also, I'm going to throw a nugget out there for all of you listening. We talked about it at our session in BHPH United, but if you do nothing else for your business in the next week, find 30 minutes to go find, go find Simon Sinek, Sinek. Okay. Go look up Simon Sinek on YouTube. I think he's Canadian, but Sinek, and look up Golden Circle.
Yeah.
And you're going to find some videos out there. And we shared a little snippet of one of those videos, but this is part of why I feel like we in marketing, and there was a question popped up about marketing in the Facebook group even this morning that I responded to, because one of the things that there are a lot of people out there that do marketing, right? And so in a lot of them, we've connected our clients with people who do marketing. But what we see in Buy Here, Pay Here is that messaging is really important. Michelle and I believe, and at BHPH United, we were invited to speak on sell the program, not the car, which starts to go to this place of, are we car dealers or are we finance dealers? Most of us would say the answer is we're finance dealers. Yet so many of us are out there selling cars on our whatever channels we're using to advertise. We're selling cars, which to me is a big disconnect in marketing. And this is where Michelle starts.
It's perplexing to me as a marketer, that it's like, if you know that what you're really selling is financing, then why are we all so forward with cars? Yeah.
And beyond financing, it's really about this customer connection. It's like messaging. It's like, okay, so really at the end of the day, the marketing has to say, why would I choose to do business with you? There's lots of other dealers. In fact, there's other dealers in my Facebook feed or wherever I'm finding ads for dealers, or if I do a Google search, I'm finding other Buy Here, Pay Here dealers. Why would I choose to do business with you? Yeah. And you're saying, well, I have the best cars. Well, the other dealer says they have the best cars too. It's
exactly.
Like, so where do we differentiate?
Exactly. And we brought up the example of Chick-fil-A. You can, those of you out there in listener land could drive by a Chick-fil-A at any time, and it's like you can pass 5 other places that offer a chicken something on their menu, and they don't nearly have the lines that Chick-fil-A does, and that it's like it's a good product, it's good, and people enjoy it at other places, but still people go to Chick-fil-A. And so we were kind of unpacking a little bit about why do they choose that, and that it's that part of our challenge is to figure out how to relate and communicate why people should choose us.
Yeah.
And it's not about cars, people. It's that's they're not going to make their choice about working with you because you have a shiny car on your lot, as much as it is they want to work with you because it's like, oh, I know them and I trust them. And I know who they are. And
don't misunderstand. We certainly understand the customer wants to feel good about the car they drive. They want to have a sense of pride when the car's in their driveway. There's certainly that element, but we're simply saying, if you're stepping into a 3-year plus relationship with a customer, and I want to get away from, because this is not so much about Chick-fil-A, this is more about Michelle. Like, I really want to talk about how
I'm trying to deflect.
So this is really about how Michelle, with the work that we do, she's really added a lot to what we do, in that we're able to really analyze marketing approach and try to ultimately introduce and we're working through again this course. It's kind of in a beta run right now, and we're kind of modeling these things out. But we've got this agenda involves all those things we're talking about, which is story branding, this kind of marketing from the inside out. And after I'm going to that's a teaser. When you go watch your Simon Sinek, you'll understand what I mean by marketing from the inside out. So this is something we just don't currently do well in Buy Here, Pay Here. And listen, we appreciate our Buy Here, Pay Here people. I've been a dealer myself. We just look at Buy Here, Pay Here overall, and we see this is something we need to learn in this industry to do a better job, because there's such a missed opportunity. And this is what I think Buy Here, Pay Here United was asking us to really help identify when we come in there is how can we get better at marketing instead of selling the car? How can we get better at marketing? How can we create messaging that connects with customers and helps us really have customers that are not just buyers today, but they're raving fans?
Yeah. And,
right?
it's interesting. We've talked again back on the subject of kind of back looping around to capital providers is that that we've heard an awful lot. Well, we need to be able to do X, Y, and Z to be able to compete with the Carvanas out there. And it's like, yeah, I get the money side of it and the pieces that you need to build, but how do you create an audience? And that's what this is about. How do you create an audience? You can have we know that cars are part of the build, that we are going to have cars, but how do you create an audience?
And how do you not just
and a loyal audience?
Yeah. And the right customers. In other words, it's one thing to attract customers. So I think to your point about the capital, if I got the capital, then I needed to sell 100 cars a month, but I can't get the marketing dialed in. It's one thing if we're going to approve every customer that walks on the lot, that we know the recipe for that. We know how that turns out. So the question becomes, how can we attract enough customers that I can now, dial in my business in a way that we underwrite and we deliver, we attract the right customers. We're able to, create that volume. So marketing becomes a big piece of this. And I just find that in Buy Here, Pay Here, we really have a lot that we could do better in terms of how we connect with our customers.
Yeah. And one of the things, Jim keeps circling back to story branding. And I don't know if our listeners out there are familiar with what story branding is. This is a product of Donald Miller. There are a lot of copycats. There are a lot of people that have taken the concept and have kind of run with it on their own, but it basically goes down to the exact same fundamental pieces. And that is, first off, let me just say that story branding is a very different approach to speaking to your customer, and that in Buy Here, Pay Here, it really hasn't taken hold. And we find, as we're talking to other vendors and things that typically in this industry space that we're a little bit behind on the newer ways of doing things. Because I'll just give you, I think part of the reason for that is so many of us are working in our business instead of on our business.
Sure.
So we're not aware of how people are actually hearing our message and how we can better deliver it. And so Donald Miller wrote this book called Story Branding, and it's with the company that I worked with before here. I was in product marketing, and that we did as an entire team. We would have different books and things that we would read, and then we would have assignments, and it was kind of like the quarterly whatever. But we did. It was a required read for the entire team to read Story Branding and then come up with a product that we have and create the story branding board around this product. And it was did any of those boards really truly get used? No, because the process was to get us into a rhythm of thinking about how we create marketing and how we do these kind of things from a different direction. And it is kind of, what we do with this branding and marketing, brand it and market development course that we're putting together it's kind of a combination between the Simon Sinek approach and also the story branding. And the big thing that is about story branding is that, when we do marketing, typically it's like, we have this and we have your solution and we're awesome. And this is but in story branding, the hero of any marketing piece, the hero, the one who is going to save the day is the customer every single time.
Right.
And if you start, when you learn a little bit about story branding, when you start looking at what some of the more successful companies are doing, they're following that model.
Yeah. So this kind of reminds me of, our friend Tommy Brandis, who, I remember when we recorded a podcast with Tommy, he was the first one I heard talk about thinking about the customer that we finance and Buy Here, Pay Here as a survivor.
Oh yeah.
Right. So
and that's not a victim.
Right.
That's a survivor.
We talk a lot about
Yeah.
our customers as victims, and we know that's out there. There is a victim mentality, but in reality, most of the customers that we finance, when we focus on the rule rather than the exception, most of the customers we finance are kind of heroes out there that are slugging it out in life and having a
Yeah.
pretty difficult lot in life, and they're making it happen. And so we focus on that. And if we think about, if we can shift our mindset to making the customer the hero instead of, trying to be the hero ourselves as the dealer, then now we begin to, shift our marketing a little bit. And also one of the things that Donald Miller does in their education is they use a jet as kind of a metaphor.
And
okay.
we've kind of designed something like a car because that's our world.
Yeah. So in that context, if you think about building a car that is your business, and so we can talk about all the pieces of the car and what they all represent, but in our case, this one simple one to understand is that you can build this car, but until you introduce gasoline into the gas tank or, whatever, then that's the capital, right? Putting cash into the tank is really what starts to fuel it. But, it has to be running well in order for it to be efficient and produce what we want. But really in the marketing context, I would say we can think about the windshield. You're looking at the windshield. What is the windshield telling us? It's telling us what lies ahead and where we're to go. GPS, if you're really trying to reach a destination, you would use your GPS device to tell you, okay, where are we going? Well, how would you make a judgment? Like, you can build this car, and Michelle and I kind of use the example in our education with new dealers. We'll say, okay, I can help you build a car, and I can put you behind the driver's seat. But now you have to know where you want to go. And so this is why it all ties together for us in the marketing context, is like, we have to first understand our customer. And that's a piece of marketing that gets left out. People think about marketing as selling. But part of marketing is surveying your customers, making sure you know the customer you're going to serve. And I really learned this a lot in Utah through products. A lot of people that I worked with were in products, and say, they don't develop a product unless it has like a 70% pain point. Well, to know that, you have to survey.
You have to understand your customer to understand their pain point.
We think we're going to build a product because we think we know what the pain points are.
And we can say that we do because it's like their pain point is they can't get conditional or traditional financing. That's their pain point. But there are a lot of other pain points that you can really narrow in and laser focus on that will really speak to your customer.
And I would say in this shifting digital age, the dealers who will win the day will be the dealers who can combine what we're seeing some people out there leading with really strong digital programs, in marketing digitally. If you can combine that with what I'm going to call the heart piece, like if you can really get to understand your customer and connect with them through messaging, then those I feel like are going to be the dealers that win the day and have all the business that they can handle, because they're getting the digital thing combined with this heart piece, which is, and when working with a client recently, we talked about, do we want to go digital or do we want to kind of keep it old school? And I'm saying, why don't we do both? Why can't we serve both customers? We can create a digital solution for the dealers, or the customers rather, who want to do a digital experience and they want to do text messaging and fill out an app online. We can serve them. But for the dealer, or for the customer rather, who really is interested in, still wants to talk to somebody and still wants to kind of explain their story, and we can serve that customer too. So it doesn't have to be either or. We can absolutely do both, but we just have to design our system.
And there are options where it can blend both some too, we were talking just yesterday about like even doing video conference calls. So like you get them, you're able to talk to them. They're still doing it digitally, and you're able to connect and see the person. Yeah.
So I just really wanted to take our listeners. And by the way, did everybody hear Michelle slip in the word listener land? Like, I think she must have been a radio personality in a former life.
No, I listened to the radio a lot when I was younger. Listener land.
There you go. So anyway, I just think our listeners, I wanted them to understand that Michelle and I really enjoy what we do. Like we have fun working through this, and we really have a passion for kind of helping our dealers in this industry get better at the marketing piece of this,
and better at all of it.
All of it. Yeah. But the marketing thing is something that we really, we have a lot of experience there. Our combined, experiences help us to help dealers. And so we're enjoying that part of it very much. And so it's something we want to talk about.
We're hoping, like with this product that we're working on right now, that we're we're hoping that by the time we hit TAID that we're going to be able to like offer it
Sure.
as something. But we've been toying with the idea of possibly doing some beta type work. And so,
so if you're a dealer
yeah.
who could use some help, we typically would just start with surveying. Like,
Yeah.
so if you're a dealer out there who needs that kind of help, then reach out, because we are in beta with that program, and we would love to have a chance to.
And the more information we can get, the better program we can put together. It's, and it's one thing that I just side note, squirrel. Okay. There's squirrels and there's possums, and we can go into that later, but a squirrel kind of is that Jim and I are like, Jim's been doing this for a really long time. I'm new to the business. And so I'm a lot more like open, and there's not an awful lot of writing inside this book. And so I'm writing new things, but one thing I've really appreciated about watching Jim through working with different clients is that, you can get really like, this is the playbook and this is the way we do it. And he's a fundamentalist, but as for instance, like that whole, is it better to have the collector be an outside collector or an inside collector? For the longest time, Jim was like, it needs to be inside. It needs to be inside. And we're seeing some trends and shifts. And so it's like, what do you guys think? And so, along with the branding, marketing, and all that kind of stuff, but it's like, we really want to hear, we want to work with, and we want to be able to create something that is the most relevant way of helping dealers improve their business and improve their messaging as we possibly can. And so, we're really, really super open. So the story branding thing with, just kind of keep an eye out. If you guys are like interested in maybe helping us out on a beta, just let us know.
Yeah, please.
And, but as far as that survey, which, we'll get that out as soon as we're done here today on, what is it that you're seeing is most effective? And so
in terms
of collections. Yeah.
We'll get that poll out there today, but we appreciate the feedback. I think we had 77, did I say, respondents on that one. So that's good.
It was a lot.
Amount of response. And so we appreciate the commentary there. And I would just, one last thing, and then we need to wrap up here. I can't see the clock.
It's about 32 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That went fast.
It goes by really fast.
But by all means, like, give us your feedback on, are you enjoying the show? Please let us know. We want to make sure that we're, bringing information that is of value to you, because we're prepared to give 3 mornings a week to this. And so we want to make sure we're talking about the things that are of interest to you. And then the last thing I wanted to throw in, as you were talking about the work that we do, is, you'll just learn with me that after being a lot of places and seeing practices from dealers, the answer is, because this is the way we've always done it. That's just never going to be good enough for me.
Yeah.
Like, that's not enough to keep doing it the way we're doing it. So we want to, if there's a better way, then let's talk about it. And, that's kind of where we come from.
And,
marketing's part of that.
If there's ever anything that we can help with, we always appreciate people just reaching out and asking some of the questions, and then we can let you know if we can just point you in the right direction, or if we can really, really help in some way. So, just let us know if there's anything we can answer for you. If there's something you want us to be able to tackle, topic that is really pressing for you, like the one with Jeremy, and we're gonna get to that next week, Jeremy. I don't know if you're still on, or if your toothpicks and your eyelids broke. But let's get that next week. Make that one of the topics is, what do we see the forecast with the upcoming potential upcoming economic shift.
Yeah, of course.
That's coming. So
very good. So thanks for tuning in. Enjoy your Memorial Day weekend, and we will be back here on Monday morning.
Have a great weekend, everybody.